She turns, and I go with her, forever attached by this twist of tether. 12:03 p.m., 12th of April, 1961. I, Sergei Letnin, penetrated space, hanging by a gigantic cord at the very fringes of Mother Earth's swaddling gases. The cord, the cable, the tether, it feeds me. Food, water, communications. And whatever it gives, it also takes away. Waste, liquid, replies. Lately, the communications have not been so forthcoming. Neither has death, neither has life. And so I listen to the music, like the dying echoes of a world tripping to oblivion, or just tripping on without me, to utopia, to a world where the aspirations of space travel have been just. I have no way of knowing, but I have plenty of time to guess. The Tether project, the first great mad idea of the Soviet space program. Secret and then not secret, a world event 50 years in the making. A cable, titanium, magnesium, aluminium, meticulously constructed in long, deep tunnels, 110 kilometers in length. A design once classed as insanity slowly became true as it swallowed the minds of the ever-excitable generations of scientists and engineers. On the end, a suit within which the very best cosmonaut would sit, would live for 12 hours outside our patient planet's atmosphere in the cold distance of space. Even the Americans were impressed, and they were still sending monkeys to die in rocket ships. During the time it was being built, so was I. I was born as my mother died, something I think my father never truly forgave me for. By 16, he must have decided I was ready to fend for myself, because he left the farmstead and moved to the city to be eaten up by buildings. So I inherited the farm and lived a life pretty much of solitude, cycled with the crops, chatting to the cows. The southern tip of the farm bordered one of the Tether facilities, and I quickly established a relationship with some of the scientists and senior officials based there. They would come to my house, I would cook them soups, salads, steaks, my way of thanking them for their hard work for the motherland. They repaid me with smiles and friendship, but also with questions. Sergei, they would ask, do you ever dream of space? No, I replied. I have never been, so I do not know what it looks like. They laughed. Sergei, do you think you could ever train to be a cosmonaut? Be one of our heroes on the ends of these tethers? No, I would say. I am happy with my crops and my cows. They laughed. And yet the call came for volunteers. Their jokes became speculation, became encouragement, almost became bullying, and I joined. It seems to me I was helped through every stage. My test scores found magical extra digits in my favour on occasion. The training! Man, the training was madness like I have never known. I was not unfit. I was of good stature and strong temperament. But these tests, these agilities, impossible mind puzzles with no solution, endurance weightlessness in the nude, core exercises without break or refreshment. It seemed to me like they were just filling time, just waiting until they could line us all up and pick out the prettiest face, the most television friendly, the one who looks least defeated. As it was not me. They chose Komarov, Vladimir Komarov, to be the face of the Tether, the first man in space. I must admit I was crushed, angry, confused. They had pushed me into this, and now I was to spectate. Komarov was a Slav, as lazy as they come, but a muscle-bound pretty man for sure. I was a nothing boy farmhand in comparison. I had to suppose that Mother Russia didn't want her greatest accolade going to a cabbage enthusiast, a cow lover. They asked me if I wanted to stay for the launch. I said no. Petulant, they drove me home in silence.
last one was a cruise ship. I would stay there, very fine.
I hear my own voice drift back up at me sometimes, I'm sure. The shouts, perhaps, of that night after Tether school rejection, my own missive to the stars, bounced back to earth and rebounded, again and again and again. I hear my father also, and my mother, perhaps, although I have never known her voice properly. And yet, the sounds have come up through the cable, so I think, is this the test? Or is this my own personal madness? You see, they had a second tether, a secret tether, a plan B tether, intended for me all along, I suppose. The Tether project director visited me the day before the launch, explained everything, explained nothing. They asked me if I wanted to. I said, yes. They put me back in the truck and drove me out to the second launch pad in silence. My head buzzed with early voices. I fell asleep on my hard bed in Russia, awoke weightless and cocooned and being glared upon by a triad of spheres. The moon above and behind, the sun across and away from the earth, beautiful below, with some aurora dancing and pushing and tickling at me. I could lift my head to an angle and not see the tether at all, and it felt like I was resting on the skin of a bubble, and if I moved even an inch, it would burst apart. Sergei Lenin, second man in space, first to be kept secret. Call sign, Guinea.
This is ground control. Everything is perfect. Over.
Perfection. They do not know anything about perfection. Vladimir Komarov, first man in space, the hopes of a world on his shoulders. Call sign, Great Bear. I craned my neck to the east. I could see him, the wavering trail in the building. His arms lengthened, testing movement, taking readings perhaps. I moved my arms too, just in case there were waves that I was expected to wave back. I watched him for 2 hours, receiving no instructions of my own except...
I'm tired, I'm tired.
It seemed I was to watch Komarov for my whole 10-hour flight. But his 10 hours was cut drastically short. He lasted for only 2. I do not know the details, only what I could pick up from the mesh of communications that came through to me.
Please check your weight instruction book.
I checked it was fine, perfect.
I'm tired. We are going to bring Great Bear home. Over.
I had to twist uncomfortably to watch, and even then out of the corner of my eye. Such was the angle the earth had turned to. Komarov's tether slowly tightened until it was the straightest of lines, and then he was hoisted back to the marble below. and blinked out in the briefest flurry of flame. Became 6, became 8, 10, 12. I received precisely 3 more messages.
Everything is okay, guinea pig. Do you read, guinea pig?
And
hold on.
I held on for a whole day and a cold night. I held on, or rather the earth held on to me for another whole day and another whole night. I held on and heard no more. But they kept me alive. I could feel the sustenance thickening my blood, and a few hours later the extraction lightening it again. This is Sergei Lenin to ground control. Do you read? All I ever had back was the echoes of the planet and its strange people singing and chattering. The days kept slipping by and they felt like years. I watched the planet pass through generations, empires, civilizations, eras, eons and ages. I charted the continents with my eyes, saw them creep closer to each other, cracks forming where they tried to break away. Still the music and the chatter came, so much the sound of rain, the hoots and whistles of wind. I could hear the rust on the axle of the axis of old Mother Earth. I could see the contours of her face, the angry boils on her skin getting angrier. I thought perhaps the spreading rot of twinkling lights might eventually spell out a message. Hold on, guinea pig, perhaps. Hang tight. But nothing. Just the echo of my last words bouncing back. Significantly less. The sun, the moon and the earth, they all seem to align into the same pattern I had seen them in when I first awoke in the shimmering blackness, so I guess that's a year. I said, perhaps out loud to myself and whoever else listened, I said, Sergei, guinea pig, you must make one attempt, one single attempt to restore yourself back to the globe below. If you fail and die, this ends. If you fail and live, at least you've tried. And so, I tilted myself forward and grasped both hands onto the tether. I let my feet fall up behind me, creating a perfect line of my body parallel to the cable. I looked ahead at Russia directly below. I moved the tether so it was as straight as possible and took a deep, musty breath of air 1,001 times recycled. I said, ground control, preparing for re-entry. This is guinea pig, preparing for re-entry. I grasped hard. I thought, of course, his big wide smile, but not for too long. And then I pulled and I pulled and I pulled, hand over hand over hand over hand, through the mesosphere, through the thermosphere, through the mesosphere and the stratosphere and the troposphere, through the clean air and the clouds and the rain and the storms, to the treetops, through the branches and the leaves. I reached the ground, gathered at the tether, and found it attached to the hand of a grey stone statue of myself, arm aloft in victory. Protruding from the belly, another tether, also stone, ran along the ground, through the valley, and into a city. From that, 100 other tethers reaching through windows and doors to the midriffs of all the people, all holding hands, all in constant connection. And so, I climbed out of my suit, and I sat upon the hill, and I watched them.